eyes on the way I vibe when I walk into the room. Wind blows underneath the soles of my brand new pair of shoes. I got the attention, I'm on a mission. No sweat in the way I step, I got a fresh new attitude. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. Call me a king, you can buy me a crown. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. I'm leveled up, and this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. New look, got the ladies shook. New watch saying it's my time. These magazines wanna feature me, cause they know I'm on the rise. Get the attention, I'm on a mission. Cause ever since I flipped that switch, my power can't be denied. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. Call me a king, you can buy me a crown. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. I'm leveled up, and this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. Get the attention, I'm on a mission. I'm there with the vision. Got a passion, making it happen. Ready for action. And this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. And this is my world now. And this is my world now. And this is my world now. This is my world now. Hey! Here we go! We coming ready or not, you better steady yourself, because we're raising some hell. There's nothing keeping this roof from blowing off. We're taking over the town, hit the switch and shut it down. Like in New York, we're electric, never stop. We coming ready or not, we coming ready or not. We're giving all that we got, we're giving all that we got. We're coming ready or not. We're throwing gas on the fire, the stratosphere getting high.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Our family started RVing a few years ago, and when I think about all those campfires and fishing trips and sporting events, these are memories that are going to last a lifetime. I want to help others do the same thing. Hi, I'm Kevin Smith, General Manager at the all-new Click It RV in Milton Freewater. People in this community are very familiar with this location and the great service they've always received. So the biggest question we get is, where is Keith? The great news is, Keith is still here.
I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Through all the changes that we have seen, one thing that has not changed for us is the quality of our service.
Buying an RV is a big purchase, but it should be a fun and happy experience. So whether it be in sales or service or parts, our mission is simple: be the best. From our team here at Click It RV in Milton Freewater, we invite you to come down and experience the difference.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to coverage of iRacing on LSRTV on the Community Radio Network, and round number 4 of the Northwest RGL Motorsports GT3 Series. We're at the virtual Virginia International Raceway. This is the final, penultimate round of this fun season of 5 weeks. We're looking forward to bringing it to you. And, of course, we hope you strap in for a fun time tonight at the virtual Virginia International Raceway. Our coverage, of course, of iRacing. I am Wesley Outland. Joined alongside is Jason Rockefeller. And we've got a special guest in the broadcast booth from RGL Motorsports and, of course, one of the drivers of the Northwest Racing's in the 129. Big hair, Russ Lundberg. Jason, I'll introduce you here in a moment, but Russ, it's great to have you with us tonight, man.
It's great to be here, and I'm actually kind of nervous. This is my very first time being in a broadcast booth.
I was about to say, what made you decide to want to be in the broadcast with a bunch of misfits?
Because you guys have so much fun, and you guys, it seemed that there's a lot of questions about road racing, and I'm a road racer. I'm actually road race, and so. I can answer pretty much any question that you guys might have about road racing.
Jason Rockefeller, he's hired.
Yeah, there we go. Right there. There's our Jeff Burtondale Jr. right there. That's Russ Lundberg, man. I mean, Russ, welcome to the booth, by the way, man. It's always so nice. I mean, I'm pretty sure, besides, if I'm correct, because I'm no brain whiz when it comes to remembering broadcasts, but if I'm correct, besides Road to Pro that me and Terry Radford call, you are, I think, our first guest that we've ever had here, Wesley.
As driver analysts, no. We've had other driver analysts joining us in the booth, for Jeff Stabnow to Sean Brightsman. But I have to say, though, for the guy with the hair like his, this is a first for sure.
Yeah, that's it for sure for first too. And Russ, obviously we're here at VIR tonight, man. This is a really, really fun track. I have never raced this here on iRacing, but I've done it on other games before. And this is a really fun track, very technical. Not really, a lot of room, for mistakes. You really got to be careful. You have to be consistent at this racetrack. What does it take to get around VIR?
Oh, well, VIR, like you said, is very technical. And this is actually a new rescan. They rescanned it last year. They waited till after the iRacing SCCA runoffs to do the rescan. So, like, they don't have the oak tree anymore, the actual oak tree. There's a couple turns that are like really you can make or break your race. You have NASCAR bend. That seems to be one that's a lot of problems with people. South Bend, that's an off-camber cresting, dropping down into Oak Tree. That's where a lot of people are going to go flying off the track and pretty much cross the track. And then roller coaster. And they changed roller coaster with this new rescan. There's a wall there, so you can't look around the corner like you normally would in the past. It's another off-camber cresting turn. And so you really can't look around the turn because your car follows where you're looking. And so it's actually pretty hard for me to make it around that turn without going off into the grass.
Well, there's just some of the analogies of things that we'll definitely be keeping a look on here. We've got qualifying going on track right now through the S's, if you will. Stephen Paulison right there in that beautiful looking 58 machine. By the way, Cody Demers from Rooster Broadcasting, working with LSRTV and giving us all the sights and sounds of our broadcast coverage here tonight. Of course, Tyler Campbell, Ryan Worley, Paul Newton right now, the top three. And I have to say, Jason, we've got an Audi car now up at the front, and that's a different driving car than we've seen in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, and it's really nice to have a little bit of a variety. Last week when we were at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or Mossport, what most people call it, and we only had a BMW, we had a Lamborghini, we had a Porsche, and Ferrari. And tonight, not only do we just have an Audi, Ryan Worley is in a Ford. So it's going to be interesting to see all the different manufacturers here tonight perform at VIR again. Just like Russ was making great analogies talking about all the twists and turns. There's so many dang turns here. I don't even remember all. I'm not very familiar with this track. I've raced it enough to know if I'm on it, but like on other games and stuff like that. But I mean, this track, it's so big, it's so wide, or not wide, but very, very narrow. It's going to be really fun to see all these guys race here tonight. And I mean, man, we were in for such a show last week. I mean, Ryan Worley ran away last week with the heat race, and then we started that 40-minute feature, and then Ryan Worley had an issue on lap 1, pitted, came all the way back, and then lost to Paul Newton by about 3/4 of a car length, side by side across the line. And if last week was telling you anything, I guarantee you that tonight's race might just be the same way, because there is little room for error here tonight. These guys are going to be on their toes.
And Russ, I got to ask you, normally you're one of the regulars on the Northwest Series. You've ran a couple of these events as we see Paulison going off track in the tire barrier that's Frank Harris, actually. The 11 of Frank Harris just went off course. 151.738, good enough for 10th in qualifying for him. But, for the most part, Russ, you've run for a couple of years with the Northwest Series, but, this is a new fun series, if you will, for the Wednesday Night Warriors. We're taking a break from the Northwest Click and RV Fix Setup Series. Xfinity cars, they're not going to come back until Labor Day weekend, and then you got 4 weeks until the run to the playoffs for a championship. But as we get ready to give the lineup for the heat race, 20-minute clock about to go on the grid, what is Well, we'll get your commentary here in just a minute. Lineup is set now for the heat race. It'll be a 20-minute time limit. We'll give you the starting lineup. Tyler Campbell on the front row. Ryan Worley, qualifier last week, of course, at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park on the outside of row 1. Paul Newton, the road course king, and a winner at the Spa. D-front Corshawn was Robert Campbell in the 54. He'll make up row number 2. Row number 3 will find Devin West and Tyler King. Row number 4, Jason. Halfway through the field will be Dan West Jr. and Stephen Paulus.
Yeah, rest of the field tonight, you got Jane Ledbetter there in the 36. He'll start 9th tonight alongside the legend Frank Harris starting P10. And then you have row number 6. You have John Ottenbacher and Clifford the Big Red Dog. Toby Raiders in the 23 machine. Next row, Carl Burke in the 53 and Troy Daggett in the 99. And then the 333, the Catman would like to call him and his old Seattle Seahawks hat there. James Vining starting dead last and 15th here for the heat race tonight. And that is your starting lineup at VIR for heat race.
So as the field gets graded, they're going to be on a 20-minute time limit. This is their 20-minute heat. But again, Russ, I asked you this question after we gave the lineup. What's your take of, as we're getting ready to come to the green flag here, the fun series that you've been able to do for the last 4 weeks? Next week we'll wrap up at Watkins Glen, and then we reset for another 5 weeks. It looks like Dirt Super Modifieds coming up for a 5-week Northwest Series.
Well, actually, we're off next week because it's 4th of July weekend, or the 4th of July week, and then in 2 weeks it's Watkins Glen.
Okay.
Yeah, but it is a fun series, and that's actually part of why I wanted to be in the broadcast booth, because I am a little bit more competitive on the road course, and I think I do the ovals for fun. The ovals, that's my fun series where I just do my best to stay out of everybody else's way, and so a lot of people are probably expecting me to move out of the way, but I'll fight tooth and nail for position on the road course. And so, I mean, it is fun. It's a great series. I really enjoy it.
So, by request, was you asked to take off and be in the booth tonight? We're coming to green.
No, I requested to be in the booth.
All right, so listen, we just took the green flag. We're underway. This is the timed heat. It's 20 minutes or 12 laps the distance around the racetrack. And on the jump, it's the Audi of Tyler Campbell. We've got a Ford in Ryan Worley. That's right, Jason, a Ford in the mix with Porsches and Ferraris and BMWs here tonight as they work into the opening 2 or 3 corners at VIR.
Yeah, and everybody right now just going single file right now. It's very, very difficult to really, navigate this racetrack because there's so many turns that come at you so quickly. And you can just see how narrow it is over the curves, over the rumble strips. Little room for error here. So you have to be very, very careful and very, very consistent if you want to run very well here tonight.
Yeah, Virginia International Raceway, a lot of curves, a lot of turns. I see the S's, all the places that, of course, our driver analyst Russ Lundberg mentioned. And obviously Campbell is the man that is leading the way as they work their way into these final parts of corners. I'll say this, Russ, it's not a very lengthy road course, but it seems big because you've got a lot of turns and straightaways and sharp turns you got to get through here.
Well, it's to some it is length, but to some it's not. But yeah, you do have very long straights, and then you have the off-camber turns that are cresting. They're blind at the end of those long straights. So that's what makes it really difficult. And I will say that Tyler Campbell, he is my pick to win this. I kind of know who he is.
Well, let's say Tyler Campbell has just led the opening lap. There you see him in the 123 car, man. He has pulled away nicely away from Ryan Worley, of course, Paul Newton, the first 3 drivers on the racetrack. We're in the opening lap, and I'll tell you what, Jason, very quickly, about a 2-second, 3-second gap from the leader over the top 5 of Gamble.
Yeah, and everybody right now is just kind of running super, super hard right now, but also trying to be very, very conservative. So that's going to be the interesting thing to see. Who's going to bite the bullet first? Who's going to probably try to push it a little bit more aggressively than what they should? Now, yes, this is a heat race, only 20 minutes, but 20 minutes isn't really that long when you think about it in a track here like VIR. We're running lap times of almost 2 minutes, so you're practically looking at about 10 laps to try to make something happen here. As we're just seeing right here, 10 laps to go, from what the projected laps are, compared to the time, as you look at Dan West right there in that Ferrari right now, looking on, and he's off track right there. So there you go, talking about biting the bullet right there off track. Dan West went right there. So that was interesting to see. He was battling with, I believe that was John Odenbacher. But that's the thing about this track, Wesley. You have to be so careful. Little room for error. And you can't. Oh, no, the Porsche right in front of, I believe that was Devin West, or Dan West at least, hard into the wall. Down.
Frank Harris.
Yeah, Frank Harris down the straightaway. Hard crash early on.
Dan West Jr., Frank Harris, couple of cars involved in an accident. I'm sure our producer, Cody Deemers, working on a replay here to find out what happened between the 11 and the 55. Ask and you shall receive in 4K Ultra HD. Now remember, no caution, but you see Harris already off the racetrack, if you will. And now we're going to see Dan West Jr. coming back on track. Looks like he gets almost into the 11 of Frank Harris. We'll find out here what took place as we're watching all this transpire. Well, we saw West go off track, and now he's back on track. And, oh, no, wow, Frank Harris turns in to Dan West Jr., and then that's the incident that Russ Lundberg, the way it went down.
Yeah, you know, when West went off, that's that south bend I was talking about, when he went shooting off into the grass and came back on, you know, right there at Oak Tree. Looks like Harris just dropped a tire and it just hooks, and he probably just overcorrected and shot in front of him.
There is 14, if you want to say 14 turns, there is 14 turns here at the track that is the, of course, Virginia International Raceway. And very unique facility, 2.25 miles to be exact. So again, I want to say I apologize on my analogy of saying that it's a small, short course, Russ Lundberg. This track is a lot bigger than people think, but I think it's the intimidation factor of looking at how sharp the turns and twists are. But, you know, it's still a very big facility. They've already worked their way past start finish, 2 laps into this race. Correction now, 3 laps in, 9 to go, and still Campbell the leader.
Yeah, you know, so the thing about Tyler Campbell, he works for a shop over in Seattle area called Racer on Rails. So they build Spec E46 and Pro 3 cars. I race a Pro 3. It's a BMW E30. It's a Spec E30 type class. And so, but he also is a driver coach, and he pit crews for a Ferrari Challenge team. So,
oh wow,
he's got some pedigree to him.
No doubt, Jason. It sounds like he's got a lot of experience here, not only the driver Campbell and what he's doing, but obviously Lundberg in the booth. And as you said, what better expertise than having a road racing driver that knows the in and outs, the do's and don'ts around this course, as we continue to watch some of this great action happen on the speedway. By the way, we're coming up on 7 minutes into the time session. That's basically averaged out to a 12-lap race, and that's why you see 9 to go. But there's actually now 13 minutes to go, Jason, in this 20-minute heat race.
Yeah, and there are so many parts of this racetrack that are either so fast, so slow. We talk about right there, you know, Russ was mentioning the South Bend part, and then down into Oak Tree, which is turns 11 and 12, and then all the way down that long back straightaway, which is one of the fastest parts of the racetrack, then down to 13 and 14, which is the roller coaster part. But the real trouble spot that I want to say is probably going to be is right before South Bend, from turns 7 and 9. That's really difficult because it's like an S-type, you know, an S's type part, you could say, or down to turn 1 with the horseshoe. I mean, you go all the way down the long straightaway, which is the front, from 17 all the way down, curves a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're in a hard braking zone all the way down into 1. So that's a really troublesome spot. But hey, we're starting to get a battle for the lead here in this heat, something we didn't really see last week because Ryan Worley kind of ran away with it. But Tyler Campbell, he's giving a little bit of a fight there in the Audi against the Ford GT of Ryan Worley there, Wesley.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on this, of course. Campbell and Worley very closely together with one another as they work their way through the trees and the modal turns off the road course here at the Virginia International Raceway. And Campbell and Worley, man, as they're working their way back to a front straightaway, coming to put another lap on the board. I'll tell you what, actually, they're not near the start-finish line just yet. They're working to the front stretch, but I'll tell you what, though, watching all of this transpire, if you will, look at this battle now going on for the lead as Worley trying to make his move on Campbell. I got to ask you, Russ, when is the right time, watching these drivers on course here, when is the right time to go for it, and what's the best part of the track, I meant to say, verbatim, as they come to the start-finish line to make a pass for the lead, or anywhere on the track for position?
Well, I'll tell you, the best place to make a pass is actually when you want to set up going into the turn to be able to pass exiting the turn. A lot of problems on iRacing is a lot of people like to stick their nose in, and that causes problems. I mean, there's some guidelines that are now with the SCCA. Randy Popes, he set it up where, the blind spot, the person in the beyond that's behind, all the onus is on him to make a clean, safe pass. So when you stick your nose in, the person in front of you can't see you, and you literally have to have your nose to the A-pillar of the front, or the front fender of the car to be able to claim position. Otherwise, you can't be seen. We don't have spotters in road racing. We might have a guy on the radio, a person on the radio that we might tell, hey, we're coming to the pits, we're having an issue, but we don't have spotters. So, we have to rely on our mirrors and sounds.
So my question, Russ, is tonight's event on the 17-turn road course at VIR, or is it on a smaller course?
Oh, VIR is a big course.
Okay, then it is 17 turns.
Yep. Okay.
All right, so I wanted to make sure that I'm looking at the correct information here, because, Jason, we're going to be using words in the analogy blank that to describe this racetrack like, well, we got one going off racetrack here, but we also want to pick up the start-finish line as Devin West has a problem. Let's pick up the leaders, because I think they were coming to the start-finish line of Campbell. And what I want to do is I want to go to an aerial view above the racetrack here, and that will give you the sense of the best view of the racetrack in describing what is Virginia International Raceway. By the way, I think I said 14 turns. It is a 17-turn racetrack here, and they are just getting ready, if you will, to get their lap started, it looks like. Coming to the start-finish line a moment ago. So we'll pick up where they were. They're working their way into the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth corners, which is known as the horseshoe in turn number 1 and 2. Then they go into turn 3, that is known as NASCAR Bend. There is at turn 4 a left hook, which it looks like that's where they're about to take right now. The left hook will then go to 5A, to 6 and 6A, known as the snake. What a sharp curve that is, as they're working their way all the way to the south bend into turn number 7, 8, 9, and 10, which is kind of like the S's that colleague Jason described. The south bend will go to turn 11 and 12, known as the Oak Tree, as Russ Lundberg mentioned earlier. Then they go to Madison Avenue, which is kind of like the backstretch where they just got off at. 14 and 14A is known as the roller coaster, which it looks like Russ Lundberg, they are taking that right now to turns number 15, 16, and 17, around to the hog pen, back to 17A, back to the start-finish line. And thanks again, Cody Deemers. There is an aerial view, Jason Rockefeller, of what is the Virginia International Raceway.
Yeah, and it's a really technical course. There's a lot of different characteristics. You go all the way down that long straightaway, down hard braking zone to 1. Now they're hitting turns 2 and 3. So left-handers, you would say, a little bit of a straightaway there before you hit the left hook at 4, and then you're going to do a really quick right-hander here coming up. A lot of times, a lot of drivers, they get a little bit confused there. Then you'll hit 5 all the way to the snake, which is like a mini little S right there. It's like a little corkscrew or whatnot. And then obviously down that straightaway to 7. But that's the great characteristic of VIR. I really wish that, you know, like they would broadcast a lot more races at VIR on TV, because this racetrack is so nice. It's so beautiful. I mean, it's just, there's so many elevation changes too, which obviously plays a big factor when it comes into road racing. You're going downhill a little bit harder to brake. You're going uphill a little bit harder to see, you know, and then this is a thing right here too. And then you're going down long straightaways all the way into hard braking zones, like they're about to head to 13, 14, and 15, which is the roller coaster part, which is just a downhill part coming up. You see them go over the little hill. Here they come into turn number 13s, 14, and 15. So this Wesley Island is a very, very technical track. Not a lot of guys, though, have been going offline recently, though. Everybody's been fairly clean compared to last week's Canadian Tire race that we had in that first heat.
And Russ Lundberg with 5 laps to go. Obviously, it is still Campbell, the man out in front. There was a little battle for the lead at one point. It's about a half second behind now between Campbell and Worley. But again, whatever part of the racetrack that Worley's going to use, he better do it quickly. But remember, there's an invert. There's an invert of the top 10 after the race is over. So does it really matter in the timed heat race if Worley beats Campbell? Or just bragging rights?
It's just bragging rights. And, you know, in reality, with only 13 people, the top 10 being inverted, the real challenge is just to stay clean, to stay out of the bottom, below 10. And that's where, you know, I'd start, you know, in the top 5 or 6, you know, mid-pack, but then I get a little aggressive and then I have an off, and then I end up in an 11th, 12th, or 13th, and so I'm always starting at the back for that 40 lap race.
And I'm sure, no doubt, with 4 laps to go here in the 20-minute heat race, Russ Lundberg, that you race differently on the road courses with these GT3 cars, or, you know, because as we see Campbell now in position, he's in the 4th spot. We just saw one driver go to the pit lane, it looked like, but then he got right back on track again. With that being said, you have timed runs. You know you're not going to worry about overtime. You know you're not going to worry about caution flags. Does that make you race differently and more aggressive, or does it make you become conservative knowing that you're doing time races than going from the distance of possible overtime?
For the most part, you want to be a little bit more conservative, because to finish first, you first have to finish. And that's what I'm saying. I'll get a little aggressive, make one little mistake, and then I'm at the back. And then I'm stuck at the back for the 40-lap race. And I'm trying to crawl back through the field. But, you know, I also race a little differently than like a lot of road racers on iRacing, because there's loopholes in iRacing, you know, with local cautions. In real life, when they display that yellow flag, you're supposed to lift off the throttle and you cannot pass a person. In iRacing, they don't do that. So, like, if I lift, I get rear-ended for a local yellow. Whereas if somebody passes me, that's a black flag penalty. And so you have to be careful with that. And I try to race more like how I do in real life, because I don't want to develop bad habits. So, you know, anybody that's racing me that might be listening to this will understand that that's the trick to passing me, is wait for a local yellow, because you can pass me in iRacing because I'm always going to lift.
Frank Harris with another problem. The legend of the number 11 machine going off course again in the Porsche, as we catch back up with the battle for the lead here in this timed run, which is, by the way, under 3 minutes remaining with 3 laps to go as well. Basically, fast time of the race so far set by the Audi leader of Tyler Campbell, the 1:23, 1:45, 1 minute 45 seconds, .236. And of course, 1:45.236 fast time so far, set by the man up in front by Campbell. We got another one going around, John Odenbacher, the Billings, Montana driver in the number 89, allowing a couple other drivers to get around him. And we got to look on the replay here, Jason, of what happened to the driver of the 89.
Yeah, just hard braking zone going into 1, just not enough brake, gets off into the grass. And like like Russ was saying earlier, when Frank Harris went off down the back straightaway, that you dip a tire in the dirt in these road cars, I mean, you're going around. I mean, I know it's basically the same in any form of racing, really, especially like stock cars, but like at least when you're in a stock car going down these straightaways, you have some kind of control. When you're traveling with this rate of speed here, with these road cars, you know, these GT cars, I mean, you dip one tire in the dirt, you're going around or you're going off. And that's exactly what happened to John Ottenbacher right there. Just not enough brake. Too much going into turn one, which is the horseshoe, got off into the dirt, went off, spun around. Thankfully, did not collect our leaders, Tyler Campbell and Ryan Worley, because they've been putting on one heck of a battle, and I expect them to be racing hard for this heat win probably coming up here, Wesley.
Yeah, time running out here with 2 laps to go. Make no doubt about it. The home stretch here is 1 minute, under a minute remaining now. And obviously, Tyler Campbell continuing to hold on to the spot. Worley in second. Remember, there's going to be an invert when this timed 20-minute heat concludes. There will be the top 10 inverted as they're getting ready to come off to that final turn to the front stretch off the hog pin to the front straightaway down to the line. And the white flag will go in the air. 1 more lap to go here in what will be the final lap of the 20-minute heat race. They're into turns number 1 and 2, into the horseshoe part of the track. And I'll tell you what, here he comes. Rusty's trying to go for his run on Campbell here as they work out of the NASCAR bend and head to the left hook.
Yeah, that was a great move by him. He forced him on. He stayed to the outside and forced Tyler to take a more defensive line, which meant he had to slow down even more to get around that turn. So turn 1 is actually a decreasing radius turn, so that's why a lot of people have problems with it. You actually have to brake a little later. It's a later apex turn, and then it opens up to a sweeper after that.
Watching them work their way from the south bend into the oak tree area down into turn number 11 and 12. And again, this is a part of the back straightaway of the racetrack heading to Madison Avenue, if you will. Jason, if Ryan Worley wants to make a run, he better do it now. Time is running out here.
Yeah, and on the last lap right now, Ryan Worley's going to have a huge draft leg in that 4GT on this Audi of Tyler Campbell. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. Down the back straightaway, going uphill, back downhill. They're about to hit 13 and 14, 15, all the way to the roller coaster part. I think it might be too little too late here for Ryan Worley as they're coming back around, hitting 16A and B and heading back to 17 around the hog pen and down the front straightaway. Tyler Campbell looks to have this locked up.
Yeah, it looks like as they work off of 17 and 17A back to the front stretch off the hog pin to the grandstand, it's going to be the timed heat winner going to the number 123 Audi from the pole of Tyler Campbell. Ryan Worley in a Ford is going to finish in the number 2 spot. And a quiet race, Russ Lundberg, for Paul Newton. He's going to finish 7 seconds behind in third. A guy that we normally call, Russ, the road course king. Paul Newton's kind of struggled in this GT3 series. Been consistent, but he hasn't won, is what I meant to say.
Well, you know, he even said it in his interview, and I'm the same way. Both of us don't race the GT3s very often. He prefers like the Miata, because that's what he autocrosses. That's actually what's on his car is his purple Miata, NA Miata Skittles. He autocrosses 2 different Miatas and a Lotus. So he's kind of used to the mid-rear engine setup. But I prefer like the open wheels, like USF 2000. So I raced against Tyler Campbell in the SEC and iRacing official SCCA runoff series back in October at VIR in the USF 2000 class. And boy, he stomped me real good.
VIR in Virginia International Raceway. Guys, true story. Believe it or not, I've announced before at VIR. I've done some SCCA road course racing a long time ago. And true story, Virginia International Raceway, only 75 miles from my house in North Carolina. And I encourage anybody, if you're up around the Carolinas, Virginia area, or if even if you're up far parts beyond and you want to make a trip of great road courses across America, you need to put Alton, Virginia's Virginia International Raceway on your bucket list, no doubt. Let's take a look at the results of the timed heat at the end of 20 minutes. There it is. And there's the invert. So much for that. Everything switched over very quickly. We're going to step away. They're going to do a warm-up, and we come back for the 40-lap feature. Or the 40-minute timed feature race will be coming up here from Virginia International Raceway. We're back in a moment. We're also coming up on the top of the hour. We'll pause for 10 seconds of radio identification on CRN, the Community Radio Network. And while we're doing so, we'll take a commercial break as well.
At Click It RV, we know there's a lot of heritage and history at this location. RV sales and service has been part of this community for decades. We knew there was an incredible opportunity here, but to see where we've come in just a year is incredible. None of it would be possible without the patronage and support from this community. So whether it be a more convenient and accessible service drive, a fully stocked parts department, or this amazing sales facility, what drives this team daily is making sure our customers leave here with the best possible experience.
No. Play more commercials, bud.
At Click It RV, we know there's...
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by the skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill.
At Click It RV, we know there's a lot of heritage and history at this location. RV sales and service has been part of this community for decades. We knew there was an incredible opportunity here, but to see where we've come in just a year is incredible. None of it would be possible without the patronage and support from this community. So whether it be a more convenient and accessible service drive, a fully stocked parts department, or this amazing sales facility, what drives this team daily is making sure our customers leave here with the best possible experience.
And we're back here at the Virginia International Raceway. Coverage of iRacing on LSRTV and the Community Radio Network. Good Wednesday evening to you. Actually, about to be Thursday midnight on the East Coast. Wesley Outland, we've got Jason Rockefeller, driver analyst of the road course world. Russ Lernberg alongside. Cody Deemers is working on the production, of course. Jeff Stabnow and Charles Wooten, the executive producers and presidents of Rocket Racing Media and iRacing on LSRTV and CRN. And, well, we're going to invert the field. We saw Campbell and Worley, the two fast cars, if you will, Jason Rockefeller. But now they're going to start row 5 on the invert for the 40-minute time A feature next.
Yeah, it's going to be one heck of a race here coming up between those two. And, I mean, the fact that they're going to be running from the back pretty much to the front. I mean, remember last week too, Wesley, Ryan Worley won the heat by a substantial margin over at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And then he got involved in a lap 1 incident trying to get around cars that weren't as fast as him and weren't as experienced. And he got involved in a lap 1 incident. And that's ultimately what pretty much lost him the race because he drove all the way back through the field, had to pit lap 1, drove all the way through the field, and then lost to, I think I said it was Paul Newton earlier. I think I meant to say, if he's on here, oh my gosh.
It was Tyler King, wasn't it?
Yeah, Tyler King. It was Tyler King. Tyler King in the number 21 BMW. He beat him by 3/4 of a car length side by side of the line. So it just goes to show you that little incident for Ryan Worley basically won him this race. Or won the race last week. And I guess, Russ, that brings a question to you, too. And Wesley already touched it up earlier. You talk about being consistent and conservative on the road courses. I mean, is that always a mindset? I mean, when do you think is really the time that you know you have to go? Like when you have to push, when you shouldn't push? Because I mean, road course racing is so much different from oval racing.
Well, you know, on a sprint race, a 20-minute race, you're pretty much always on the go, but you do have to be patient about trying to pass the car in front of you, and you got to set up the pass. When you get in trouble is when you're trying to force the pass too early, and like what just happened right there. I think Tyler King was trying to force that pass with Ritter's just a little too early, and you know
that's just practice.
that is just practice, and you know it's good practice, but you know that's where you get into trouble, is where you're trying to force a pass too early. You know, with SCCA and most club racing, pretty much every racing group is mixed class racing anyways, so like you know, it's just something you get used to. I think Spec Miata is pretty much the only class that really has its own race group. So you always have faster cars that are coming through lapping, and they have to be paid. You know, when I was going through my novice comp license, I had to interview people in different classes, and they say, you know, if you're in a faster class, you have to be patient and set up for the turn to happen exiting the turn. So not try to force the pass entering a turn.
Real quickly, before we give the starting lineup, let's get the lineup real quickly, and then we'll give you the Kaufman creative weather conditions, because we haven't done that yet. Let's go down for the 40-minute timed heat. Let's starting lineup: Dan West Jr. on the invert on the pole. Toby Ritter's on the outside of row number 1. Row 2 will find the Catman, meow, James Vining. To his outside, Devin West in the number 5 from Shelton, Washington, row 2. Row 3, Stephen Paulison and Tyler King. Of course, that is the Truck Series Northwest champion of last year. Row 3, row 4, we'll find Robert Gamble and Paul Newton on the invert, 10 through 3. And the rest of the lineup with Jason, and that's your front row from the first time heat.
Well, row 5, this is going to be interesting. Who's going to get to the front first? Ryan Worley, Tyler Campbell there in the Audi. That's the next row. Next row, you got John Ottenbacher, Jaden Ledbetter in row number 6. And then row number 7, you got Frank Harris, the legend, Carl Burke in the 53. And last but not least, there he is in the Porsche, Troy Daggett in the number 99.
Real quickly, let's take a look at the Kaufman creative weather conditions. Road course driver analyst, Russ Lundberg, your take on this. 65 degrees air temp and wind temperature at 5 miles an hour. Track temp at 85. Is that a perfect day for racing here at VIR virtually, bud?
Well, yeah, that's actually pretty good. I mean, here in Spokane, I mean, we're used to like 90 degrees with 110 degree track temps. So, you know, I would definitely love to have an 85 degree track temp, you know.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, they're ready to come to the firebox. Green flag goes in the air. The timed distance lap-wise of 40 minutes is 23 laps. It was almost half the distance there for 12 laps in the heat, and the feature is underway. 40 minutes on the clock. Look at them scrambling, working their way into the hook, into the snake. 3, 4 wide, mini rows back, Jason, on the opening lap.
Yeah, and right now heading into turn number 4, already seeing some guys go offline. Dan West Jr., I believe, is offline. Oh, and he's around in front of the field.
Oh, that's Dan West Jr. that is spun in front of the pack. Everybody on the binders, and quickly, great work there by Paulison to go to the lead. However, he's going to open the door, if you will, to Tyler King, Russ Lundberg, to lead on the opening lap as they work towards Madison Avenue.
Wow. Oh, there goes somebody else. I don't know if that was Stephen O'Hare. No, that is Robert Campbell.
Campbell on it,
and Ottenbacher.
Look out! Oh, it looked like they're wrecking in the funny papers, Jason Rockefeller.
Yeah, everybody's going off track right now. This is just a product of them doing, you know, the invert. You're already seeing some guys right there. You almost just saw Ryan Worley get caught up with one of the Ferraris. That was Toby Ritter's right there. Dropped the left front in the grass, in the dirt, you would say. Almost collected Ryan Worley, but Tyler Campbell and Ryan slowly making their way up towards the front. There goes Worley, or Campbell, I should say, trying to work to the inside of Stephen Paulison, working their way around the roller coaster park, down into 16A, 16B, around the hog pen, and back down the front straightaway to complete the first lap with Tyler King, last week's winner in that number 21 BMW. He leads at the front of the field.
Opening lap, you're going to give it quickly to Tyler King. Already Russ Lundberg up 5 spots in that BMW number 21, the Northwest Truck Champion of last year. But meanwhile, Worley and Campbell are like Maverick and Goose on the road course at VIR, heading back towards the snake off the left hook, Russ. They are quickly amongst battling.
Oh, Tyler King!
Oh, we got, oh my, that's King, I think. The leader lost it. Tyler King's off course.
And that actually would be considered a bad re-entry. I was groaning because I thought he was going to T-bone him, and then Frank Harris went off in reaction to that.
Bad re-entry or not, let's take a look at the LSRTV replay available in Ultra HD. There is 4K quality. Though 21 Tyler King going off track, and then there's the great piece of driving, as you mentioned, by Frank Harris and a couple of others on the upon entry coming back on course.
Whoa!
Well, look at this. Wow, again, King around, everyone else. He just lost it. And I was going to say this in the opening 2 laps, or 3 laps, if you will, back on track to the commentary, Russ Lundberg. Quick work by Tyler Campbell and Ryan Worley, quickly getting up to the front. They're already in the 2nd and 3rd spot.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with that, with Ryan Worley. I have no idea who he is. I've never met him. I've never seen him in anything before. I thought he was a go-kart racer, but that's a different Worley. So I have no idea who Ryan Worley is. I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, I think he's just been making his debut. Am I right, Jason, in this road course series? I think he debuted last week at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I remember he was actually saying that he wanted to stick around here in the Northwest, so maybe something to come. He might do the Northwest Truck Series. He might do the Click It RV Fix Series. Says he usually does the road stuff. I mean, clearly does the road stuff. We're already seeing that. But, I mean, nevertheless, he's still a great driver here on the road. They're slowly catching Devin West, one of the guys who's always been strong over on the Northwest side of things, whether it be fixed, whether it be the trucks. Devin is one to reckon with, doing a solid job in that number 5 Ferrari, holding off these 2 road course specialists right now as they work their way through the South Bend and heading up to the Oak Tree.
The Oak Tree and doing well again right now, making their way back to Madison Avenue to the back straightaway. Turns 14 on the horizon, heading to the roller coaster. As you're on board now with Tyler Campbell, he's now got one more spot to run down. Russ Lundberg, and that is Devin West in his sights. And I didn't mean to cut you off. You were saying.
Oh, I was going to say, Ryan Worley, he has a really high I rating for road course. It's like 2,700. It's over 2,700 I rating.
That might be why he is running with us. Working back around into the roller coaster to the hog pen. Very unique names at Virginia International Raceway. Turns 15, 16, 17. Loops back around right there to turn 17A to start finish on the front straightaway, and another lap in. And now it's a 3-car battle. Jason into turn number 1 to the horseshoe into the NASCAR bend. 20 to go. West, Campbell, Worley. That's the battle for the top 3 at VIR on lap number 3.
Oh, yeah, and almost a little bit of off-course action almost for Devin West. He's able to save it, though, but that opens up the door for the Ford GT of Ryan Worley, Tyler Campbell, the Audi. They easily make quick work around Devin West, the number 5, heading through 7 all the way to 9, working up to the South Bend currently. Now this is the battle we all came to see ever since the start of the heat. Tyler Campbell very, very fast, dominated the heat, but Ryan Worley was right on his heels the entire time. Could have made a few passes, decided to not wreck, wanted to have a solid heat, and wanted to learn. And sure enough, here they are right now, started 9th and 10th, but they right now 1 and 2 as they work their way up the back straightaway with Devin West in the number 5 Ferrari in tow, Mr. Outland.
Solid run right now as again Campbell has got right back to the front. Worley in second, and Russ, it only took him 4 laps to do it.
Yeah, that's why I said when I saw that he entered the race, I was like, he is my pick.
Tyler Campbell is a good pick, but I would also say, man, don't count out Ryan Worley. Jason, we saw how talented he was as he works off turn number 17 back to the hog pin to the front stretch here to put 4 laps on the board. How talented he was as he was the heat winner, I believe, last week at Canadian Tire and runner-up in the race last week as well.
Yeah, and you saw right there down the front straightaway, Tyler Campbell threw a little bit of a block. Oh, and around goes Ryan Worley off turn number 1 after the horseshoe. Tried to pull a crossover move, spun the tires, maybe dipped a tire in the dirt. And Ryan Worley, who was Tyler Campbell's biggest competition tonight, has gone around something of a miss on the 205 Ford GT. This race just got interesting.
The nemesis of Worley has now on Campbell, fell back 14 seconds. Let's take a look at a replay presented by LSRTV. Look at this. Russ, your thoughts of what happened here to Ryan Worley?
Well, I thought he was going to make the crossover. I don't, from that view, I really couldn't see what was going on.
Might need to go back a little bit further, Cody Deemers, on that, man, for sure. I would love to see where it actually escalated to where he had that problem.
Oh, just loses it.
Yeah, I would say looking at it again from a closer angle. Thank you, Cody. Russ, he didn't get into Campbell. He wasn't rough driving Campbell. He just made a move and the car shot loose and around with the went the Ford.
You know, these are fixed setup cars, and one of the few things you can adjust is your brake bias on the fly. And he may have changed his brake bias. When you move your brake bias further back, it causes the car to rotate. You can have a shorter brake distance, but then it can rotate. I know with the Porsche, which is why the only reason why I drive the Porsche, it tells you what your brake bias is. All the other cars, they don't give you any of that kind of information. And so, he may have changed his brake bias, to try to out-brake Tyler, and it might have just bit him. Well,
anyhow, no doubt about it, with 18 laps to go. By the way, closing in on 10 minutes already in to this 40-minute time feature A run. The A feature is underway now. Tyler Campbell on the invert of 10 at the end of the timed heat, trying to sweep, if you will, Jason. VIR and doing a phenomenal job now as he works his way again through the snake, heads to the south bend and the oak tree and more, leading here on lap 5.
Yeah, and Tyler Campbell, too. I mean, listen, folks, don't think that Tyler Campbell's got this race locked up. Yeah, he's got almost a 3-second gap on Devin West, one of the primary, not road, but oval guys. And Paul Newton's right there in third in case anything happens. He's 7 seconds back, too, in the number 27 Porsche machine. But, I mean, Ryan Worley could still try to catch Tyler Campbell the best he can. I believe they all have one mandatory pit stop.
Oh, yeah, they're going to have to pit.
Yeah,
they're going to have to pit.
Yeah, they're going to have to pit. So this might be an opportunity for Ryan Worley to maybe try and run them down as much as possible. We'll have to see. But because of the gap, I just don't know if it's going to happen. Tyler Campbell's going to have something happen. But we saw last week, everybody in that field had something happen to them. That very well could happen tonight here, especially for the leader, Tyler Campbell. So just because Tyler Campbell is really fast tonight, just because he won the heat, don't think he ain't going to make a mistake, because everybody seems to make a mistake on a road course at some point, even if you're Tyler Campbell and Ryan Worley.
Let's go right now to the front of the leader right now and take you through the field. There's the man right now leading the way, Tyler Campbell, the Audi. He's in the number 1 spot. 2 seconds back, almost 3 seconds back is Devin West. There's his car. Looks like it's an Italian machine, the Ferrari. Then it's Paul Newton. Right there is, as Russ mentioned, the Skittles car going through the S's of the 3rd place man, Paul Newton, the road course king. 7 seconds back. Ryan Worley is in 4th. There's the Ford, number 205. He is in the top 5, 13 seconds back to the leader, Campbell. 23 seconds back in 5th. Stephen Paulison, and he has got a battle going on for him as right now, Jason, it is right now Jaden Ledbetter looking all up under his back door for this spot for 6th and 7th on course.
Yeah, Ledbetter's right there on the rear of that Ferrari right now as they head. I believe this is coming up through the South Bend and into the Oak Tree part. Yes, it is. Then they're going to go up the back straightaway. So the Ferrari, or not the Ferrari, but the Porsche is going to have a little bit of a draft wake here down the straightaway against the Ferrari, but just not going to be enough to try to set up a passing opportunity here going into 13. But that's where the Ferrari really just kind of pulls away a little bit, but the Porsche is very good with braking and stuff like that. So you can already see the gap that Jaden Ledbetter was able to close heading into the corner as we ride on board right here from the passenger side. And notice something, folks, right there on the center, right there, right next to the driver. You see right there, that is a rear camera right there. Similar to what now, obviously, the NASCAR next-gen cars have nowadays. This has been a thing in road racing for many, many years. Obviously, Russ mentioned before, as you see right there, Jaden Ledbetter to the inside into turn 1. Maybe we'll see a crossover here. Almost one, not enough. Ledbetter completes the pass. But like Russ said earlier, no spotters on road courses. You rely on sounds, mirrors, and obviously a little bit of chatter on the radio for whoever's on the radio. But they can't help you. You got yourself, your instinct, your knowledge, sight, sounds, whatever. And then sometimes if you're in a certain car, you can have those rear view cameras.
And Russ Lundberg, our special road course driver analyst, that makes you drive differently, no doubt, whenever you ain't got nobody in your ear like you're used to having on the Cup Truck circuit for the Northwest.
Oh yeah, and yeah, it's about risk versus reward, And in road racing, you pretty much do have to accept that you got to walk away from your car at a total loss at any given moment. And a lot of times, you might not even be the reason why it happened. I'm kind of wondering why he keeps pulling into pit like that.
I think he's just
we'll have to keep
around.
an eye on that. Yeah.
I think he's just messing around. I think he's just having fun.
Well, in real life, that would be black. You'd get black flag for that.
Big black flag.
Right now, Campbell the leader. West in that 2nd spot, as we mentioned, doing a phenomenal job. Paul Newton 3rd. Ryan Worley is 4th. Jaden Ledbetter currently in 5th. Stephen Paulison 6th spot. 7th is Dan West Jr. Tyler King falling all the way back to 8th. There's his car. 9th is going to be Toby Ritters. How about a run, Russ, for Toby Ritters, one of your Northwest comrades, man. He is having a solid run here tonight in that Clifford machine Ferrari.
He always is. He's one of those ones that he's conservative, keeps it clean, and always has a strong finish because of that. He doesn't necessarily put down the fastest lap times, but he is consistently clean, and that's why he finishes strong every race so far.
Jason, another good run for Ritters for sure, and I know that Rose and family got to be cheering him on in the broadcast chat box, no doubt.
Yeah, more than likely. Always showing support as the Ritters family. And we've talked about him so much. And it's not from a biased perspective. We all love Toby Ritters. Toby Ritters is like, how could I say this? He's like one of those guys where it's like, you can't hate him. You just can't. No matter what mistake, no matter what he does on the racetrack, he might not be the fastest guy, but he sure as heck is one of those guys who puts in a lot of hard work. He messaged me on Facebook a few months ago. When I was talking about how he's come, very far from last season in the trucks to this year in the trucks, especially in the fixed setup series. I mean, we've seen Toby Ritters. You know, he last year was a guy, unfortunately, got involved in a lot of wrecks, started a lot of wrecks, got involved in a lot of stuff he could have prevented, you know, due to his skill, but he put in the time over the offseason, and here he is this season doing very good in the fixed series setup that we usually call on Wednesday nights. I know that he's very solid over in the truck series, over on the Monday night side that you and Justin Prince call. He's just been doing a really good job showing that talent, really showcasing it, and every race he seems to do better and better and better. And I guarantee you at some point within the next 2 seasons, Toby Ritters is going to go back to victory lane. It might not be at an oval, you know, or a road course, but it might be a super speedway or whatever. Toby Ritters is going to be one to reckon with probably in the next couple seasons.
Russ, we're seeing pit stops early. Tyler King, remember the problem he had in the opening laps? Could he be going for the undercut on the field?
He could be, you know. I mean, you just have to get like 9 gallons of fuel, and that's it. I mean, if you get a full tank of gas, you know, that kind of hurts you because you're taking on a little bit more weight, and and it takes time. So, you know, usually in like mini enduros, like 1 hour 40, you know, 1 hour mini enduros, you're required like a 5-minute pit stop. So, you know, these are actually pretty short compared to what we do in real life.
King is in. He's out now. Ritters is in the pit lane for work to be done. A lot of drivers, I'm surprised, Jason, coming in early around lap number 10.
Yeah, but we're also almost approaching the halfway point. We are just right now hitting the 18-minute mark in this race out of the 40 minutes that we are running. Currently showing feature 13 laps to go is what the estimated amount of laps is right now. In the heat race, we got to the points where it was 2 laps to go, but they hit the line. They decided it was 1 lap to go. So, I mean, you could be trying the undercut. Obviously, there are a lot of factors when it comes to making pit stops in road racing. Obviously, Russ mentioned you take on too much fuel. You could have more weight and whatnot. It could slow you down. You're going to have more drag. You're not going to be as fast down the straightaways. It's all a factor, but also not to mention the fact, too, that all these cars are different. They all have different components. Sure, they're all GT cars, but at the end of the day, they all handle different. They all drive different. They all accelerate different. They all brake different. I mean, Russ did say you could see what your brake bias is inside the Porsches. So, I mean, that's a very interesting thing compared to the rest of these GT cars. Everything has its characteristics. So that's the great thing about road racing that makes it so good. You know, there's so many different components, but at the end of the day, you can still have that great hard racing. That's why GT racing, in my opinion, is probably the best besides open wheel racing when it comes to the road course side of things. But everybody so far tonight, very clean, not really a lot of drivers going off. We've seen here and there. Besides the opening stages of the race, this has been a very clean race. It just goes to show you here, Wesley, that over these last few weeks, these guys have been getting better and better at the road courses.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Just after halfway, as you just mentioned, coming up here in a few more laps as they're coming to the line. And it will be 12 laps to go now. Working lap 11, Tyler Campbell, the leader. Here's the battle. Russ Lundberg going on for the 2nd spot. Devin West, Paul Newton inching closer and closer to one another as they work back to the horseshoe in the NASCAR bend in turns 1 and 2.
You know, in the last lap, when we first started watching him, Paul Newton, he was almost able to complete that pass anyways. You know, like I said, the onus is on the person doing the passing to make a clean pass. So there were times where, you know, and West isn't doing anything wrong, but he's turning into the apex, and Paul has to back out of it because that's what you have to. Paul's the one that has the view of the whole situation, where West can't see where Paul's at.
West and Newton going at it here again, as we mentioned, working their way now from the south bend of the Oak Tree to the backstretch part of Virginia International Raceway to Madison Avenue. heading to the roller coaster. And again, what a strong ride, if you will, for Devin West. Jason, we talked about it with the Northwest fixed setup series where the Xfinity cars are on the hiatus until they come back for Labor Day. This is the fun weeks ahead with these GT3 cars and what's to come after this 5-week series. Then you look at what he's done in the truck program on Monday night that me and Justin Prince or me and yourself or other announcers have talked about here. Devin West missed a lot of races, but when he is able to run, or when he has been able to run, he has been a threat as he comes down onto the pit lane. Money stop. Worley's going to be right behind him. It looks, no correction. Who's coming to the pit lane? Yes, it is Ryan Worley. Worley is coming in behind him to the pit lane. But nonetheless, Jason, Devin West was in a bind when the season started. But he's literally climbed himself out of the cellar and has put himself in the playoff contingency.
Yeah, he definitely has. If I remember correctly, I believe he swept Darlington earlier this year on Throwback Weekend. And yeah, he was really fast. I know his dad was very fast. They both finished 1-2 in the truck race. I want to say they finished 1-3 in the fixed setup series race. It might have been 1-2. I could be wrong, but that was so long ago. There's also so many races we've called. I always forget certain things. But yeah, to mention Devin West, both the Wests, father and son, they've been super fast. When I joined LSR last year, they were both very fast. And here they are this year. They're still very fast. I mean, Devin has been showing a lot of strength. You talk about how he's been missing some races here and there. But also that's because of his actual personal racing career. That's why he couldn't make some races. But hey, I mean, when you can go out there and go drive real cars, heck, I'd do the same thing. You know, I'd miss iRacing for real racing any day of the week. But I mean, he's very strong, very methodical with everything that he does. He knows, I think, that him and his dad both work together with a lot of things. I mean, one car's blue for gosh sakes. The other one's red. They're practically the same paint scheme. But Devin is definitely somebody who's probably going to be very strong when the playoffs start, no doubt about it. And I expect his dad, Dan West Jr., to be very strong here once we come back on Labor Day weekend.
Driver analyst Russ Lundberg, what's your take of racing when you do with the Devin West and the 5?
Well, you know, he's good at everything. You know, he's obviously excellent at road racing on the sim. He's great at dirt. You know, he's great. You know, he's one of those ones, both the trucks and the Xfinity. He's you know, some people will consider him being an alien, if you know what it, like an iRacing alien, somebody who just wins at everything, and both of the Wests are that way, you know.
Thank you, Coot Dog. He just said in the chat box, I live about an hour away from Virginia International Raceway. 100% as beautiful racetrack and surrounding area as you will ever find. And I have to say, I certainly do agree with that. I had the privilege a few weeks ago to work with MAV TV for NASA, the North Auto Sport Association, for their road course racing, Jason and Russ. And I will tell you, that was an experience for me, because road course racing is just different. It's different in the... Oh! Devin West off track! Got to get back on it.
Yeah, because Worley's right there on the hunt.
Boy, what a save there, Russ. Oh, boy. Oh, my.
Yeah, hopefully he can get that speed back up, and, you know, otherwise Worley's going to be able to give him a pass.
Believe it or not, 10 laps to go. This is how fast this feature has gone by. But what I was going to say, though, Jason and Russ, is the way you prepare reporting, the way you prepare for broadcast, it is a totally different way doing road courses than doing round track racing, whether it's pavement or dirt. And, Jason, we experience that whenever we call the Northwest iRacing broadcast. It's a totally different way, totally different vibe, totally different chemistry of the way you do the commentary, for sure.
Yeah, well, that's the great thing. And being a broadcasting major who aspires to be a motorsports broadcaster in the world, like yourself and other people, too, who have got their start from iRacing, like our buddy Terry Radford, there's so many other people. But, you know, the thing is, when you prep for broadcast, especially a road course race, you know, we may not be familiar with GT cars, because we're more of stock car guys. We know more knowledge. I know more knowledge because I've driven these things on iRacing. I've been a fan my whole life. I love the technical aspect of it. I know how the cars handle. I know what certain parts do, what they don't do, etc. When you come and do a road course race like tonight, we're calling this for fun, man. It gets long and strung out. And the thing is that it's going to get long and strung out like Tyler Campbell has done, pulling out to almost a 33-second lead. That is half a minute, folks. That is very impressive. You come out here and you need to come out here and watch the battles on the racetrack, because it's not just about who's winning. I mean, right here, we're looking at a great battle between Ryan Worley and Devin West. This is a great storyline. As you look for Worley, he tried to look to the inside right there, heading through 8A all the way to 8B, now to 9. This is some great stuff. And then when you look at the Northwest, and Devin West sideways there, right out of the South Bend. That was a heck of a save by Devin West in the 5. But when you look at the stock car racing side, like we do on Wednesdays with the Northwest Fix Series, we know the storylines, we know the points. This ain't for fun. This ain't fun in games. It may be fun for these guys. I know, like you, Russ, and stuff like that, and it's fun for us to call. But it's serious. There's points on the line. There's sponsorships, whatever. It's a totally different animal when you're talking about something like this, which we don't have a lot of experience in, compared to us on a regular Wednesday night, which come Labor Day, we'll be back to that. So, but it's always fun to call something new like we did last week, or at least like I did last week. I had a blast calling it. I'm having a blast calling this tonight.
Second place driver Jaden Ledbetter has just went to the pit lane for his money stop. He is taking on service. He was in second. He falls all the way back to fifth now. Paul Newton has put himself into the second spot now. 46 seconds back. The interval now 47 seconds between Tyler Campbell and Paul Newton. And Campbell, Russ Lundberg, has not pitted yet. Is he going to try to pull the strategy game rabbit and go the distance, or is he going to have to pit here with about 16 laps into his race drive with 7 laps to go when he comes to the line?
He is going to have to pit. We start off with half a tank of fuel, so only like 13 gallons. And so...
Well, he's stretching it then, ain't he?
Yeah, he's stretching it. He's probably going to have to pit right now, actually. But
now.
But this is such a short pit road. That 44-second gap, Tyler's going to pull out of the pits, probably ahead of Newton, and he probably pulled that right, because that's something that Sean Breitzman is able to do in the ovals. He can do it and go so late and have such a huge lead and still come out ahead.
He is going to be right now 25 seconds on Paul Newton, as Campbell is right now on the pit lane. I got to ask myself, Jason, I'm wondering, as now Campbell is exiting the racetrack, Newton has cut it into 12 seconds. There's the interval there between Campbell and Newton. He's working his way now off of the hog, if you will, hog pen, heading to the start-finish line. But I have to ask, though, could Campbell get a penalty? It looked like he really was speeding coming onto the pit lane.
I don't really know, honestly, per se. I mean, I think he's fine. Like I said, I've never driven these cars. I don't know if they have a pit limiter or not. I know that sometimes in most road course racing aspects, there usually is a pit limiter for these things, usually that will, you slow down and then all of a sudden you get slowed down to speed immediately. But I mean, I don't really think so. I mean, I think Tyler Campbell knows what he's doing. He's just trying to get the most, that he can when he comes in and comes out of the pits right there. But, so I think he's pretty much fine. But who's not fine right now? Devin West. He is still having a handful of Ryan Worley, and he's going to let him by. On the outside, Ryan Worley is able to make that pass, going through 8A into 8B. What an impressive pass by Ryan Worley. So slowly making his way up through the field, but 17 seconds back, Wesley. He's going to have Tyler Campbell and Paul Newton both have issues here, as we're just under 10 minutes to go.
Russ Lundberg, our driver analyst. Russ, could there be penalties for entering the pit lane too fast? Obviously, are things assessed on the road course than what we see in the circle world?
Yes, there is speed limit, pit speed limits. Well, obviously he did not get a penalty, otherwise he would have pulled in.
Right.
But yeah, I personally don't ever have the pit limiter set. Some people can have, I would assume, because he does a lot of endurance racing, that FTR, Field of Rush livery that he has. That's his team that he does like endurance racing with. And so he might have it set up as a push button on his car to have the pit limiter.
Well, whatever the case is, no penalty given to him. And of course, I was only making an analogy of what I saw there from entering onto the pit lane, maybe at the speed that he was. Hey, another story that's developing here. Toby Ritter's out of the race with under 5 laps to go when they come to the line. And Jason Rockefeller, it sounds like not being able to have a fast repair is what took him out. I know that there is supposed to have been a fast repair available for every driver in the timed heat of the 20-minute heat and the feature 40-minute time feature. That's about 10 minutes remaining, under 5 to go, or under 6 laps to go when they come to the line. But understanding that is what took Toby Ritter's out of this race. But fret not, another top 10.
Yeah, it's a good run for him. I mean, Toby did a really solid job earlier on. And I was wondering, because when we were looking at him in the pits, I thought that left front tire was kind of coming up into the wheel well. And I was like, maybe it's nothing. I can't, I couldn't really tell all that much. But I mean, that's the risk, of driving aggressive earlier on in this race. We saw guys going off constantly that first lap, and everything kind of simmered down once they got onto that second lap. And then obviously you're already out of a fast repair. So it's like, now you really have to be conservative. We saw Toby making some mistakes when we were highlighting him earlier. He was overshooting corners, getting loose a little bit. I know when we were seeing him come through the hog pen in 16B all the way to 17, he got a little loose, almost snapped it around into the tire barriers. But nevertheless, that's just part of road racing, just trying to be consistent, making sure that you're trying to do the best that you can every single lap. And sometimes you push the car to the limit, and it's just part of it. I've done it. I know Russ has done it probably. And there's a lot of guys out here who are just trying to just make it around. And like I said last week too, Wesley, just learn, because you could take this information, two totally separate classes, but they could incorporate this into their Northwest racing experience when it comes to the fixed and the truck series stuff when they do go to road courses.
Russ Lundberg, you were going to add more to that.
Well, I was also going to say that, when he was in the pits, I had noticed that there was a pretty big dent in the side of the car. And I was wondering why he wasn't taking a fast repair. So I don't know if he just didn't have the fast repair checked when he went into pits and then the fueling started. Because at that point, you can't select a fast repair. You have to exit the pits and come all the way back to do a fast repair. You have to have that checked before you start your pit stop.
And he says that my fast repair wasn't checked, and they wanted me to sit for too long. Going to go test for the truck race next week. Thanks, guys, for everything. So there you go. That Russ, you just gave the answer perfectly. So that explains it with under 5 to go.
Man, it's really awesome watching the slip angle with Worley in this Ford GT. The Ford GT is my favorite car out of all the GT3 cars, but it is outdated. But it is good to see that somebody is driving it with success. And then the next is the Mercedes. But for me, I can't get them to last 40 minutes. The Porsche is the only thing that I can get to last 40 minutes. Plus, those older cars, they don't give me any information. So, even along with the Porsche, on the dashboard, there's LED lights that flash. It tells you which tire is locking up, which tire the ABS is kicking on. If they flash purple, if it's a front tire, flashes yellow if it's a rear tire, and it flashes on each side of the dash. So, I'm usually locking up the inside front tire, and trying to trail brake, trying to brake, going through a turn. But yeah, there's so much information available to the driver in the Porsche versus any of the other cars.
And Jason, I find it impressive that no doubt about it, for a guy like Ryan Worley, with the mistake that he made, even though he's still 17 seconds back to the leader, Tyler Campbell, hands down, what an effort to shake himself off of what happened to the Ford and put himself on the podium right now, unofficially, down the home stretch, closing in on 3 laps to go when they come to the line. But man, the Skittles car's got to be happy with the drive they got going for Ryan Worley.
Yeah, and Paul Newton in that Skittles car is doing one heck of a job in that Porsche. The road course king, we should say, having a solid night. But to touch up on what Russ said earlier about that Ford GT being outdated, and man, he is right. The Ford GT doesn't even race in the IMSA WeatherTech Endurance Championship anymore because Ford pulled their Ford GT program a few years ago. And it's a real shame because that car was very, very fast. And it's a shame with everything that happened with them and Chip Ganassi Racing. They were very fast. But I always love seeing that car. Every time I see a Ford GT out in public, which is so rare. I probably have a better chance of getting bit by a shark here on the Jersey Shore than probably running into a Ford GT more than likely this summer. But let's cross our fingers and hope that I get the Ford GT and not the shark bite. But it's always nice seeing those Ford GTs. I've seen them up close. I believe I sat in one a few years ago. They are beautiful cars. And obviously for anybody, watching, if anybody has not seen the story between the battle of Ford versus Ferrari, there's some things that are a little changed up in there. Go watch that movie with Matt Damon and Christian Bale. That is a fantastic movie about the Ford GT being built over at the Ford Motor Company with Leo Beebe and all of them. Great movie. I love seeing Ryan Worley in that Ford. I think that he should definitely stick to driving that thing when it comes to the road because it's very fast and he does a really good job of driving it.
Yeah, funny thing you mentioned Ford versus Ferrari. I actually watched that movie about a week ago on Netflix for sure. So definitely an exciting road course movie, if you will, and the history of the cars as well. Tyler Campbell in the Audi. There he is. He is in his own world, if you will, Russ Lundberg. As a driver like yourself, man, that's got to be a good feeling for him right now.
Or it might not be. He's probably sitting there breathing heavy. Oh, just keep it calm. Just keep it calm. Just take it easy. Just take it. Because at this point, he can only lose the race. If he's going to mess up, it's his race to lose. He just has to keep it clean and coast at this point to finish it off. And it looks like Worley's catching up to Paul Newton there. So that's going to be interesting to see who finishes out on that. He's definitely on the hunt. He's getting within 2 or 3 seconds there.
Yeah, if there's any look at a battle that we're going to be seeing, we're going to have to definitely keep up with Newton and Worley. 15 and 17 seconds back to the leader that you're seeing working his way off the backstretch part of the Virginia International Raceway. Madison Avenue heading to the roller coaster. Roller coaster awaits the hog pen. Up the hill he goes. He'll be working his way around the corner from the roller coaster to turn 17 and 17A, right around this part of the track right now, heading to the hog pen, if you will, and coming back around to the start-finish line. The white flag awaits Tyler Campbell in the Audi number 123. There's the white flag. One more lap to go. We'll pick him up at the start-finish line. But honestly, Jason, we've got to watch the battle for second between Paul Newton and Ryan Worley. That is right nip-tucked with one another as they cross the line. Coming to the white flag for the bridesmaid spot. One to go for them.
Yeah, and I'm sure Ryan Worley doesn't want to finish third to Tyler Campbell. If he's going to finish anywhere behind him, he wants to finish second, knowing that he drove his butt all the way back from mid-pack all the way to try and get back to the front here. And Ryan's doing a really good job. He's only back by about 1.5 seconds right now. And Paul is a little bit loose, and that Ford's got a lot of grip, it looks like, right now. And you can see him right now getting around turns 3, heading into 4, in the left hook spot, down, coming into 5, then we're going to head into the snake. Ryan Worley is catching him a little bit, kind of losing a little bit of ground here. Don't know if he's going to be able to get him, but he's got a lot of corners left to go.
Yeah, honestly, Russ Lundberg is wearing the final lap of this race, man. There's the battle, but that's about to dissipate, and pretty much Tyler Campbell's won the war here.
Yeah, like I said, I think he's actually coasting right now. He's just taking it easy.
The interval, checkered flag, winner is going to be the driver of course, Tyler Campbell. Just caught him crossing the line. The winner, of course, of this race, getting ready to come to the checkered flag here in a couple of more corners. The checkered flag awaits this driver, is what I meant to say. Tyler Campbell, the Audi, dominated the heat. He dominates the 40-minute time feature A main, and he wins in the Northwest RGL Motorsports GT3 Series. The battle for second goes on, Jason, as they work into the final corners.
Yeah, and right there, Ryan Worley, he tried to send it in down into 16B, but it's just not going to be enough. Paul Newton, P2 up on the podium, and Ryan Worley, unfortunately, has to settle for third. Great battle between those two, and what a comeback for Ryan Worley.
Second place will go to Paul Newton. Ryan Worley will have to settle for that third spot. Everyone else is crossing the line. Tyler King, mind you, almost a minute and 17 seconds behind the leader of Tyler Campbell. So all these drivers trying to come to the start-finish line, and we're watching now Ledbetter and Dan West Jr. Hey, Russ, what a job for Dan West Jr. The problems he had earlier in the race, he's going to get a solid top 5 out of the deal tonight.
Yeah, he is. He pretty much kept it clean, I was actually kind of confused because him and Toby Ritters are running the same livery, the same WRT red livery, and so when they started on the starting line, it was like I couldn't tell who was who. But
right.
Yeah, he's pretty much kept it clean.
Lundberg had a couple of problems, obviously, in the timed heat, and at the start of the race, if you remember, he got involved in a little tangle and a spin. I would have to say again, Jason, with the exception of Tyler Campbell, all these drivers in some shape or form tonight that we mentioned had problems on the racetrack, and as we've said before, you got to have a flawless race here on the road course to be there at the end, and Tyler Campbell did just that in the 123.
Yeah, and it was a really good race to call, and what a job, too, for Tyler Campbell. And what a job for us up here in the booth. It was so much fun to call this race. As you look at the Virginia 811 call before you dig.com caution summary, obviously none, but two lead changes. Two lead changes, and it's when Tyler Campbell and Ryan Worley really went at it, and they passed, I believe it was Tyler King when Tyler lost the lead, obviously. But what a job, and you talk about having a flawless execution. Well, I guess when you can't do burnouts, you could just, swerve down pit road, so that's something to do there. I guess that's a signature. But, when you look at the road courses, Tyler Campbell, what a job he did. You had to have a flawless race tonight, and that's exactly what he did here tonight.
Another big celebration, no doubt, when it's all said and done. By the way, shout out to my buddy, Brian Morehouse. He is actually in New Orleans on vacation and doing some work, but in New Orleans with the wife on vacation. But again, thanks to Brian Morehouse for what he does at NASCAR, but also with Virginia811.com, reminding you, dig with care. Call before you dig. All right, here's a look at the results. If we can put it back up on the screen again, Tyler Campbell is your winner. Paul Newton is second. Of course, third place will go to Ryan Worley. Jaden Ledbetter will finish in fourth. Dan West Jr., another, again, top 5 finish. Stephen Paulison, sixth. Tyler King, seventh. And Devin West, Jason Rockefeller, halfway through the field. He will finish in eighth as the Northwest Road Course Demolition Derby High Five Salute is underway.
And then looking at the rest of the results right there, you see ninth. It says for me, ninth, Devin West, 10th, Toby Ritters, 11th, Frank Harris, Catman finishes 12th, James Vining, John Ottenbacher, 13th. John has not had a very good road course stretch in that number 89 Lamborghini recently. He might need some lessons here from our buddy Russ Lundberg here. And the 14th, Carl Burke did not start tonight, and neither did Troy Daggett in the 99. That is your 15 drivers that attempted to run this 40-minute feature here at VIR. What a race tonight.
Russ, man, don't go nowhere. Post-race, whoever's available, we'll talk to them. But, man, your final take of this race here tonight, the penultimate race of the RGL Motorsports GT3 Series, and obviously Watkins Glen on deck in 2 weeks, the finale, a totally different racetrack than, of course, VIR, for sure.
Yeah, I kind of chuckled when he was talking about John Ottenbacher and Ella. I felt bad because at Mosport I was the one that caused the incident that took him out. Because I thought I was clear of him and I was not.
He ain't gonna want lessons from you then.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I started laughing. And so, yeah, we got one more race left. This is awesome. If you notice, Ryan Worley got within 0.4 of a second to Paul Newton to finish, in that finish. That was really impressive.
Impressive, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it was a fun race to watch. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time.
It certainly was, for sure. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will grab the drivers on the podium that are available. We're also at the top of the hour. Coming up on it, we'll pause for 10 seconds of radio identification, get all of our commercials out of the way, and we will take you to post-race. From Virginia International Raceway, this is coverage of iRacing on LSRTV and the Community Radio Network, the Northwest RGL GT3 Series again tonight. Tyler Campbell wins at Virginia International Raceway.
Community Radio Network, WCRN 87.9 FM, Clayton, Garner, Raleigh, North Carolina, USA. We are CRN.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
At Click It RV, we know there's a lot of heritage and history at this location. RV sales and service has been part of this community for decades. We knew there was an incredible opportunity here, but to see where we've come in just a year is incredible. None of it would be possible without the patronage and support from this community. So whether it be a more convenient and accessible service drive, a fully stocked parts department, or this amazing sales facility, what drives this team daily is making sure our customers leave here with the best possible experience. Click It RV, we know there's a lot of heritage and history at this location. RV sales and service has been part of this community for decades. We knew there was an incredible opportunity here, but to see where we've come in just a year is incredible. None of it would be possible without the patronage and support from this community. So whether it be a more convenient and accessible service drive, a fully stocked parts department, or this amazing sales facility, what drives this team daily is making sure our customers leave here with the best possible experience.
Welcome back to virtual Virginia International Raceway coverage of the Northwest RGL Motorsports GT3 Series, penultimate race in the books. Tyler Campbell picking up the win. I'm Wesley Outland. Russ Lundberg, our driver analyst, color analyst, as always, is Jason Rockefeller. Cody Deemer's doing a great job as broadcast assistant producer tonight. Always, we'll grab our top three on the podium. Ryan Worley, man, what might have been, you battled, you hung right there with Campbell, had a slip there in that A feature. Things fell back. Obviously, I'll have a question. Jason, you'll have a question. Russ, you ask a question to Ryan Worley. And Russ, I guess my question is, nothing wrong with a podium finish, especially after losing ground on Campbell, but you were probably the nemesis that could only compete with him tonight.
Yeah, probably. I just got out in the dirty part of the track there, and it just got stuck in the forever slide, iRacing slide that happens. Just the tires won't release the slide, and nothing you can do but just hold on.
Yeah, and Ryan, obviously you come back to finish third tonight after that little slip up. But, tell us, this is a very technical track, a lot of twists, a lot of turns, a lot of uphill, downhill. What was your toughest part of the track here tonight? Obviously, you went around at that one point. Besides that, I mean, your race was pretty much flawless from our point of view, but what was the most difficult part of the racetrack here tonight in the 17-turn course?
The roller coaster section. The Ford GT isn't the best handling car out of the GT3s. It's probably actually the slowest out of all of them. And so you really got to muscle the car around, and through there is just always on a nice edge sliding around. Most of the time it was a four-wheel slide, so you just kind of point and shoot. That's all you could do with it.
You brought up the Ford GT. I don't have a question, but I wanted to comment that you really handled that Ford GT very excellent, because I was talking about how that is the most outdated car in the GT3 series. It's actually been on the chopping block for a while, but then they chopped the Mercedes when they came out with the new one. It's one of my favorite cars, but yeah, I mean, I can't keep it going for 40 minutes. And I just want to say I'm really impressed with how well you kept that thing going for the full 40 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. I kind of get Paul there at the end because my tires were shot. My left sides were at 50% at the end of the race, and I just felt like on ice those last 5 minutes.
Well, Ryan, bud, we'll let you go. Before we do, we want you to thank your sponsors. And one more thing to segue that. Are we going to see you compete in some more Northwest competition besides the road course stuff?
Oh, yeah. You'll see me. My first time with the big blocks modifieds. And I'm okay on dirt, but we'll see how that goes. But I will not be with you guys next race, unfortunately. I'm busy that week.
Gonna miss Watkins Glen. All right, buddy. Well, man, have a happy, safe 4th of July. Thank your sponsors, bud.
I don't know really much to think. I mean, just one really on there, and that is YWAM. And I've fortunate was able to spend time with them, and they're changing my life in a good way. A lot of good ways.
All right, buddy. Well, Ryan, every time I feel like I talk to you, I feel like I'm speaking to the godfather of sim racing. So thank you, buddy. Ryan Worley again. He'll finish in the number 3 spot. I mean that in no disrespect, by the way. It's just the way his commentary dialogue is for sure. Runner up in the race is going to be Paul Newton, the road course king. Hey, Paul, it sounds like it's a it's deja vu all over again. Obviously, a different racetrack, but another silver second place finish. Hey, what did you think of tonight's race at Virginia International Raceway and your second spot tonight?
Yeah, I thought that VIR is a really, really tough track. It's really, really treacherous if you get offline. So you just have to be inch perfect time after time after time and get that rhythm down. If you get out of your rhythm, you're in trouble. You're sliding all over. So you gotta stay within your driving and rein things in and just keep from overdriving. It's so important at this track, especially.
Yeah, and Paul, you had a great run here tonight. You know, we call you the road course king, man. And this really is obviously really for the Northwest Series when it comes to the Click It RV Fixed Setup Series and also the Truck Series. And I've been mentioning over the last 2 weeks that I've been calling this GT3 Series. A lot of guys are probably going to take everything that they've been learning probably here these last few weeks and then the next 2 weeks at Watkins Glen. They're going to take all this information they've learned and probably bring it in to the Northwest Division, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure. All these guys have been getting better and better at the road courses since I started. I've had to step up my game, and I didn't get a road course win in the stock cars or the trucks this year. So those guys, they've really improved, and it's always great to race with them.
Yeah, I want to say I can't do any of the road courses in the stock cars or the trucks. I cannot brake and downshift those whatsoever. So that's why I'm never in those. But my question is for you, you posted a picture of the Lotus autocrossing. How does that how does that work towards this running this Porsche versus the Miata?
That's a great question. I think the Lotus and the Porsche are very similar in the way they drive. They're both mid-engine cars, and they both reward slow in, fast out driving, and that's especially true in autocross, and it's very true in sim racing too. I was kind of struggling with the lap times today until I kind of remembered that slow in, fast out mantra, and it started coming back to me. So, yeah, driving the Lotus, driving the Porsche, very similar animals.
Fun time, Paul Newton. Paul, can we see you finish it out and win in 2 weeks after 4th of July break at a track we know very well? You've won at before in the Northwest, Watkins Glen.
I sure hope so. Watkins Glen is one of the best tracks there is for road racing, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, Bud, before we do let you go, I want you to thank your sponsors.
All right, I want to thank Team Skittles, PaulNewtonDesign.com, Trading Paints, Peels California Mandarins. I want to thank my teammates at Beaver State Racing. I want to thank the Northwest Racing Series, especially Robert Gamble for putting this together, Russ Lundberg for sponsoring, and LSRTV.
There you go, man. Sound like he was talking 100 miles an hour there. Paul Newton, Paul P in Designs, Paul Newton Designs. And I don't care what anybody says, whether he's not winner or not. Still a solid finish, and he will still have the nickname, the Road Course King. Good job in the runner-up spot. Let's go to Victory Lane. Another first-time winner of the Northwest Racing Series, iRacing brethren of series sanctioning bodies. And it is the driver of Tyler J. Campbell. The Audi was strong from green to checker, from the timed heat to the feature. Tyler Campbell, you had everybody covered. Congratulations, and welcome to Northwest Racing Series Victory Lane.
Thank you, sir. It's it's definitely a pleasure to be here. Was a real blast to get to be introduced to the league through Russ. Saw some posting he was promoting the series on his Instagram, and he invited me to come out and give it a shot. And it was obviously it went well for me, but definitely didn't come without having to try pretty hard for it.
Well, Ty, good to meet you. Good to see you. Glad to be interviewing you here, man. Congratulations on both the dominant win in the heat race and also the 40-minute feature, man. And I guess, like we asked Ryan Worley, I'm going to ask you, will we see you drive in either the Truck Series or the Xfinity Series Fixed Setup Series on Wednesdays when it does return after Labor Day?
Potentially, it all depends on my schedule. I work in the racing industry for my day job. I work as a data engineer and race mechanic for a local team here in the Pacific Northwest called Racer on Rails. So it really just depends on how my schedule looks, and if I have a free evening or I'm not stuck at the shop, then you can bet your bottom dollar I'll be here.
There you go.
Yeah, Tyler, I'm glad you made it. I know you wanted to race last week, but you missed. You weren't able to get accepted in the league right at the last second. So I'm glad you were able to make it out today. I'm excited to see you next week for Watkins Glen. I'll probably race that one. But I remember racing against you in the iRacing SCCA runoffs in the USF 2000 group, the one we all had to qualify for last year here at VIR, and you just whomped me. So I was cheering you on. You were the person I was cheering on, but that's also because I knew you are Racer on Rails. So yeah, I look forward to racing against you again in Watkins Glen. You'll probably be lapping me, and then I'll probably see you a couple days later at Pacific.
Hey, yeah, definitely. I'll be there at Pacific for sure. Make sure you come by the Racer on Rails tent and come say hi. Anybody who's in the Pacific Northwest here will be racing at Pacific Raceways on July 14th. Please come by. Really got a popular series. Oh, sorry for my dog. Really popular series Pro 3 that has a lot of really great racing. Russ is one of those members, and they put on a really great show.
The dog is celebrating with you because he's proud of you.
Yeah, I wish that was the case, but definitely not sharing champagne with her.
Well, Tyler, final question, bud. Hopefully you had fun running with the Northwest drivers and kicking butt at the road course at VIR tonight. Will we see you in some more Northwest Racing Series competition?
Yeah, that's the goal. I like driving pretty much anything that has, 4 wheels and a steering wheel. It really doesn't matter what it is. As long as I've got the time, I love to compete. So I hope to be here.
Sponsors, we'll let you go.
Just thank my team, FTR Esports. All those guys, support me and everything that I do. And it's really awesome to be able to share a community with like-minded folk. I want to thank Russ for inviting me here and for sponsoring the series. And, of course, you guys here at LRTV for putting on a great show and giving us the opportunity to tell our stories.
If I'm keeping up with the stats, not only is he inaugural winner of the Northwest Racing Series fraternity, he is also the 4th different winner of the 4 events of Season 1 of the Fun League for the Northwest RGL Motorsports GT3 Series, the number 123 Ollie of Tyler Campbell. Tyler, thank you for your time. Russ Lundberg, I'll let you have the floor first before we close it out, man. Hey, I had fun working with you. If you're available for Watkins Glen or any other events, we'd love to have you back in the booth. I just enjoy the driver expertise that you have, and it's been a great pleasure having you tonight.
I might have to take you up on that because I'm in the process. I had to, this past week, I didn't get any practice for VIR, and it's like the worst track for me. I only
that's why you didn't race tonight.
Yes, because my wrap on my Pro 3 has faded. It used to be a chrome green. That's why all my cars are green and black, and I had to pull it off. And so now I have to repaint it this weekend. I have to sand it and repaint it to get it prepped for that race in Pacific. And
gotcha.
So I've been stressing. So, I think I have time to practice for Watkins Glen. Actually, Watkins Glen, other than Road Atlanta, my home track, Watkins Glen is probably my favorite iRacing track. So, but yeah, I literally have to load the trailer and leave the next day. So I might have to take you up on that for being in the broadcast booth for Watkins Glen. I don't know. We'll play it by ear.
No doubt, though, to elaborate that on, though, but you definitely have a different respect for what it does that we do in the booth to do these broadcasts, especially from in the cockpit, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And I've always, I enjoy watching broadcasts. The SCCA leagues do broadcasts. I watch all the SCCA Super Tour broadcasts, and they do the same thing. It's literally team speak. In Discord and all that stuff. Well, one person's in there in person, and all of the cameras out there are like iPhones, and so it really is perspective of what really goes on in the broadcast booth. And I enjoy the broadcast. I mean, when I'm done racing, that's the first thing I do is I go and listen to the interviews, obviously, and then I restart the feed and I watch the stream, and then I go to bed. So the broadcasts are a great part of the racing experience.
Well, Russ, we've definitely enjoyed it, buddy. Jason, your final take of this race, man. A fun time here tonight, no doubt, at Virginia International Raceway. And again, another winner on the Northwest Racing Series in Tyler Campbell.
Yeah, I had an absolute blast calling the race here at VIR, track that I've always really admired. I haven't seen it on the sim yet until tonight. I've seen it on other simulators, other games, and stuff like that. I always like this racetrack. It's very treacherous, very twisty, turny, whatever, words that aren't even in the dictionary. It's a very fun time. Congratulations again to Tyler and everybody else, too, who ran a fantastic race. I mean, last week, Colin from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park was an absolute blast. Tonight was a blast. Just goes to show you that, even when we step out of our comfort zone, when it comes from ovals onto the road course side, even when it's not stock cars, we still do business and kick butt. So it was a fun time. I can't wait for 2 weeks' time. We go to Watkins Glen, obviously a track that we're all familiar with, especially me. I've run a lot of laps on there. One of my favorite road courses for a track that really is really short when you think about it from a road course perspective. But nevertheless, though, it should be a very, very fun race to call, and I had a blast calling this one tonight.
The people behind, of course, iRacing on LSRTV and Rocket Racing Media are Jeff Stabnow and Charles Wooten. Assistant producer director tonight is the Rooster, Cody Deemers, Russ Lundberg, driver analyst, Jason Rockefeller. I am Wesley Outland. Thanks for joining us tonight from virtual Virginia International Raceway. Tentatively, tomorrow night, we are scheduled to race at Volusia Speedway Park with the Northwest Super Late Model Dirt Series. If that changes, we'll let you know. But for the Northwest programs, we will not be back until after 4th of July for the trucks at Pocono on July 10th. To you and yours, have a happy and safe 4th of July. God bless America. Thanks for tuning in, and congratulations to Tyler Campbell, another winner of the Northwest